We want to act like we're speaking into the mics.
Yeah, there we go. We're live.
Did I say act? I meant. Okay, ready? We need to cue in the music, right?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Lower down slow. All right. Welcome to ThorForPresident.com. The Thor is going to be the new president of the United States, and I have all the answers. All the answers you can possibly imagine. I have them, and I have them all on my website, ThorForPresident.com. We got my man Rick Root here helping me out in the studio, and he is on the drums usually, but tonight he's on the computer and the keyboards there helping us out and keeping things organized for us.
This is very exciting, Kevin.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, today we'd like to talk about all my issues, or our issues, running for President of the United States. And we have plenty of issues that we'd like to discuss. The first issue is, what would I do the very first day as president? And as president, the very first day, I would build a wall across the southern border. That's exactly the first thing I would do, and you asked me how I would do it. Well, what I would do is I would take all the illegal aliens who are in the United States, and I'd say, you want to come here legally, and you want to be part of the system. You want to be able to pay taxes, you want to be able to receive benefits, you want to be here legally and not live in the shadows. Well, what you need to do then is to join the Guest Builder Program, which is a program that I would put together as president, and you would go down to the border and you'd check in with the INS agent, and he would hand you a brick. And with that brick, you would start building our southern wall across our southern border. And during their 2-year stint in the Guest Builder Program, the GBP, Guest Builder Program, during that time, you'd get to build our fence. We'd get to check out and see if you have a criminal background. We'd see if you have any communicable diseases that we do not want in America. And we'd put you in these Katrina-style FEMA trailers. And if you have a wife and a family, maybe you'd like to have them cook for you, or the other guest builder workers. You work 2 years, and if you want to stay on, then you'd get some sort of government status, like a GS civilian status. And you would get to gain a little seniority, make a little extra money. We'd put you down there on minimum wage, feed you, and you could help us build our wall. And then after your 2-year stint, you could enter the United States and go ahead and enter the economic system, which would be a safe way for you to enter into the United States. It would solve our problems with knowing exactly how many people here are helping us out with our economy. And then we would not have this people running around hiding from the police and hiding from the ICE agents, and then we would know who the criminals are and who they aren't. And that's exactly what the first thing I do. And the second thing I do is move it to the northern border after the southern border is done.
How long do you think realistically it would take to actually physically complete a wall?
It would probably take quite a few years. And during this time, obviously you don't need a fence completely from edge to edge. You need a fence where anybody can walk through. Some of these places are inaccessible by vehicle or even walking because there's such great distances and such great mountain ranges and stuff. But it would take quite a bit of time. We'd want to build the wall similar to the San Diego style wall, but you know, the double wall they have. I think they have a drive-through pass between a double wall for our agents to go through. It's not the time and the effort that it would take to build it. It's mostly getting a system that works, and so we can control the amount of aliens that we have, our immigrant workers that we have coming in and out of the country, and give them a sense of purpose also. And another way too is if these people wanted to join the military after that, they would get a faster track towards citizenship by going to the military after their government their guest builder program. They would be able to gain access to the military and then help us out with different things that we have going on. And also during times of disaster, let's say like a Katrina-style hurricane, where we needed workers to go down and start doing the work of cleaning up a disaster, or the California fires. We had plenty of fires here in California. And that's the type of work they would do, and they would gain access to the United States economic system, which is the greatest place in the whole world to be economically. I've been all throughout Mexico, and it's a fun place to visit, but it doesn't offer the Mexican people that much economically.
Okay then.
All right, so now let's move on to our most current problems. Our most current problems is energy. We have an energy crisis in the United States. Gas reaching $4 a gallon in Southern California here, and nothing but real doom in the future as far as energy is concerned. The one main problem we have is that we are not producing energy in the United States. This is a big problem. We have not built a refinery in 30 years. We have to have refineries built, and I would declare an emergency, an energy emergency, and forget all the environmental rules with a very green footprint, though. I would sign into effect, build refineries now. Just start doing it right now and get these refineries built. Build at least 10 or 15 of them all throughout the United States. Forget the environmental rules. I know the environmentalists are going to have a big cow when I hear this, but our energy and our economy is way more important than their worries about rats and little birds and stuff like that. The rats and birds and little frogs can be relocated to other areas. And then build an or drill an anwire. I know that everybody thinks it's a big environmental mess to drill an anwire, but just like the Alaskan pipeline, it is not a mess to drill an anwire. It is a very logical thing to do. They're predicting now that we may have 1,000 years worth of oil left. And all these ethanol type of scenarios are not the answer. That's why we have skyrocketing food prices, and the food, supplying the nation with food and supplying other countries in the world with food is way more important than making fuel out of corn. It is a crazy idea. And to give back a little, I know everybody's saying, that's so one way of you taking over and declaring an emergency and using the destroying the environment for these new refineries. Well, what I'd also do is I'd say anybody who can produce solar and wind energy, I would say give them a complete tax break for my whole administration. Have no taxes involved with that type of energy, because I am environmentally and energy friendly. I want those people to develop those solar panels so they're cheap enough to the average person can go out and buy one. I've done a little bit of research on that for myself. I wanted to do solar. I have a small place in Mexico, and I'd like to do solar down there, which is much more feasible down there. But in the United States, it would cost me about 25 to 30 grand to get set up so I could run my house off of solar. And then I'd probably get about 4 or 5 grand back in these rebates from the government. So I basically have to pay, and the lifespan of these solar systems is about 20 years. So I basically have to pay 20 years worth of my electric bill right up front, and I cannot afford to do it. I just can't afford to do it. And if I can't afford to do it, probably most of you can't afford to do it either. So it's just not feasible right now, but if we eliminated all the taxes from these scenarios, the price would probably drop about 15 to 20%, and it would become much more accessible to the mainstream of society, which is very difficult to do.
Makes sense.
All right. So now, how are other ways we can keep this economy rolling? Tax cut for the United States must be enacted. I know Bush gave us a great tax cut, and that was wonderful. We must lower the tax rate across the board, 5%, in addition to the Bush tax cuts for everybody. And that will keep the economy rolling. We need to keep people investing, keep people working, and we need to keep these the people working here in the United States. Now, my next thing also here is eliminate all death taxes. Because for one reason, my child had to put up with me. He has earned anything he gets me to leave him. Not an undocumented immigrant, not people living in Compton. Nobody earned the money that I will leave, which won't be a whole lot, but there will be a little bit to leave. My son has earned it. Believe me, he has earned it.
Can you explain real quickly for people like me exactly what the death tax is?
Well, the death tax basically is if you own property and you die and you want to give it to your son, well, he has to pay taxes on that property. Now, that property's already had taxes paid on it. All the money that you've earned, you've already paid taxes on it. So it's basically a double and maybe even a triple tax. It's really not good for any economy. There's no reason for it whatsoever, except for the politicians in Washington are nothing but greedy. And greed will destroy this country. The politicians have not earned this money. They have done nothing to produce money. And they think that the American people owe them money so they can get their pet projects done, so they can look like big shots in front of their constituency. And it's just not good for America.
I see you have the big clock on the wall, and we're just about due for a break here.
Yeah,
Kevin.
we just about ready for a break. And we'll be right back in a few minutes. Welcome to the Thor for President radio show, live on YouTube. And we'll be back in a few minutes. Give it to our sponsors here for a minute. Okay, how do you think it went?
Well, what happens to me, I feel like I'm in school again, and I start fading out.